Hello
Chai
everyone.
Masti.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please. Yeah, yes.
It is my pleasant duty to introduce to you our very beloved wellness guru, Nithya Shanti. He is an acclaimed teacher of joyful and conscious living. He is an MBA from XLRI, Jamshedpur. After starting out in the corporate world, he was drawn to pursue his spiritual quest. In 2002, he ordained as a Buddhist monk. After 6 years of living in forest meditation monasteries in Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, and USA, he was guided to live, learn, and serve broader ways than the traditional role of a monk. With the blessings of his teachers, he stepped out of his robes in 2008. He now shares inspiring teachings in happiness joy shops, youth programs, corporate training, meditation retreats. With his light-hearted, informal manner, practical techniques, he paves the way for a fulfilling and enjoyable experience. He has been invited by leading universities, corporates, NGOs, guides, CEOs, senior officials, and teachers. He is on the advisory board of corporates to enable more conscious culture in business. He lives in Pune. He enjoys writing. His aim is to facilitate a paradigm shift from seeking to being. It is our good fortune to interact with him in the past. I hope to do so.
Oh, you got muted.
You're muted. Unmute.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah.
We have enjoyed every session of his. We are overjoyed to share it with all our friends in dignity today. I'm sure every one of you will enjoy this talk, where he will share practical pointers for deeper connection with ourselves, each other, and life itself. More than that, it is not necessary to say. I'm sure that as the evening progresses, you will all automatically move into a very deep spiritual experience, which will be of tremendous help to you. Thank you.
And Madhuji, do you want to say something before I start? No, I can't hear you anyway.
Don't want to say anything. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So good to be here with all of you. Thank you, Kiran, for facilitating my being here. Thank you, Madhuji. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas, for the very warm, and I could feel your heart in that welcome. So good to be here with all of you. I'd like us to, today's session is on the art of connection. So the most important connection is with the one that we live with all the time, ourselves. And if you can just take a minute, I invite you to take a minute to just, if you like, close your eyes and just be with yourself. Feel your breathing, feel your body, feel the weight of your body. Just settle into this moment. Not looking to feel anything special, just feeling whatever you're feeling now. Just enjoying each breath. Letting go of the hustle bustle of the day, just being here. Feel yourself, however that feels. May the session today be for your benefit, also the benefit of your families, also the benefit of all our ancestors. I'm inviting the grace and blessings of all our ancestors. And all generations to come, may they all benefit from this sharing, from this reflection. Each one of us is an important role model. Let's all take a slow, deep breath. If you want, you can slowly open your eyes. Beautiful. My teacher told me to, whenever I begin anything, to see if I can empty myself of myself, empty myself of my ideas about myself. बस एक काम करो, खुद को खाली करो. बस एक काम करो, खुद को खाली करो. Just empty yourself. Rumi talks about be like melting snow. Wash yourself of yourself. So what this means is, can I meet each experience with more open-heartedness and less memory? I love the name of your foundation, Dignity Foundation. And I was just earlier today talking to a friend and reflecting on how each one of us, no matter how our life has been, there's a certain dignity to our life. Some of us have had very hard lives, difficult lives. Some of us have been relatively well taken care of most of our lives. Of course, nobody gets away entirely. We all have ups and downs. But when I say I'm sad, nobody else knows what I mean when I say I'm sad, because my sad has a frequency or a flavor that is entirely its own. And there's a certain dignity in my sadness. And when I say I'm happy also, or when say I feel expanded, I feel enthusiastic. In other words, no one in this universe has lived my life exactly this way. And that's true for each one of us here. So there is a certain dignity in your experience. And I really love that. I love that we can just own our experience. Yeah, this, with all my ups and downs and turmoils, there's a certain dignity to this. I don't have to compare myself to anybody else. For a long time, like she mentioned in my introduction, I lived as a Buddhist monk for some time. And for a long time, I compared myself to my teachers. And I tried to be more and more like them. And the more I tried to be like them, the more I felt I just couldn't. I could never reach there. They were so far ahead. I could just never reach there. It was just never good enough. No matter how much I did, it was just never good enough. And there was a constant sense of feeling something's missing, something's missing. This always happens when you set up an ideal, you always have a sense of gap, a sense of something's missing. So in my case, the healing was realizing that, you know, the Buddha was meant to be Buddha. And my teacher was meant to be my teacher. And I'm meant to be me. There's something very beautiful about that, realizing that I'm meant to be me. There's a nice, it's a fun thing, but it's very meaningful. We say in India, we say guru. And the way you spell guru in English is G, U, R, U. G, you are you. And the deeper meaning of guru is, oh, you're you. And you're meant to be you, you know. And don't try to be what you're not. You know, Swabhav, embrace your Swabhav. There's a nice story about this. There was a spiritual teacher who was quite famous, and people would come from great distances to listen to him. And the village in which he lived, there was one, you could call this man a miscreant. He was always up to mischief. He was always creating trouble. And he was not interested in the spiritual teacher, all nonsense. But one day, it so happened, he was walking past and this teacher was giving a talk, and something about the talk attracted him. So he came very, very wary and just stood on the outside edge of the assembly and he listened and he was mesmerized. Wow, that made a lot of sense. I could relate to that. Next day again he came. Again he stood on the periphery, listened. Before he knew it, he began sitting at the back and little by little began sitting in the front row. And after 10 days, he touched the Guru's feet crying and said, I have sinned. I have sinned. And I want you to accept me as your disciple. And I want to give up all of this and I want to come and be your student. Please accept me as your disciple. And the teacher had a lot of compassion for him. But the teacher also understood his nature, his swabhav. His swabhav is he's a big, strong guy who creates trouble, right? So he says his personality is not meant to become a monk. He says, get up, wipe your tears. He says, actually, there are plenty of monks. I don't need a monk. What I really need is a bodyguard. All the time, these people keep crowding around me. They want to touch my feet. They want to throw flowers at me. It's quite difficult, you know? And what I really need is a bodyguard. Will you be my bodyguard? Will you protect me from these crowds that always try to come and touch me and, you know, take me this way and that way? He says, I'd love to be a bodyguard. So how beautiful. That teacher found that person's quality was being strong and, you know, being assertive. And instead of trying to make him what he's not, he says, no, you be my bodyguard. You be next to me and you protect me from all these crowds. He didn't really need a bodyguard, but he created a role. So this person could find a way of fulfilling his destiny, you see? So we honor everyone's swabhav. We all have our true nature. And to allow people to be their true nature, this is the real role of the true teacher. The teacher doesn't make you more like himself or herself. It makes you accept yourself the way you are. And that's quite a journey because as we know, yeah, some people it's hard to be kind to. But the hardest person to be kind to is yourself. How much self-criticism there is, right? How much self-doubt and self-criticism there is. I noticed this in myself. I used to keep a diary, especially when I was a monk. I'd keep a diary and I'd write down the things I did in the day. And I was trying to be very honest about it. So I'd write down all the skillful, wholesome, kind, generous, open-hearted things I did in the day, and the slightly mean, selfish, not so mindful things I did in the day. So I kept this diary. Now I noticed even the days I thought that was a really lazy day. I didn't get much done today. I just, I wasn't true to myself. But when I actually sat down to write my diary, there wasn't a single day where the unwholesome things were more than the wholesome things. When I really sat to think about it, yeah, I talked to that person. Yeah, I helped that person. Yeah, I did that duty. And so there wasn't a single day when the unwholesome was more than the wholesome. That was my first recognition. Oh, that's fascinating. That even though my mind is telling me that was a wasted day, that was not a very good day. Actually, when I look at it objectively, there were some good things in that day. That was my first realization. The second realization was that my mind tends to highlight the negative. It takes for granted the so-called positive or the helpful, wholesome. It highlights the one little mistake. The one place I said something that I felt was not so mindful. It highlights that. It was an important recognition. And I noticed that just because I was making a note of it, didn't mean it was changing. Like, for example, my habit was, I noticed that in the evening, monks would sit and we would have some tea. And I would linger there for longer than I needed to be. I just felt I just enjoyed being with them. We talk about different things. And I said, I'm wasting my time. I don't need to sit there for an hour. I mean, half an hour is enough, 25 minutes is enough. Why am I sitting there for an hour? And you end up talking about all kinds of things. So I always felt I'm wasting my time. So that was my self-judgment. But just because I wrote it down didn't mean the next day automatically changed. I would still do it. And then my criticism would grow, my self-criticism would grow. So what I realized is what you focus on expands. This is fascinating. If you focus on what's wholesome, that expands. If you focus on what's unwholesome, that also expands. So let me come back to this from a slightly different angle. So for example, 4 ways of looking at life. One is everything is imperfect and it's getting worse. This is the first way of looking at life. Right now, everything's imperfect. I'm imperfect. You're imperfect. My family's imperfect. And tomorrow it's going to get worse. If you think like this, you're probably going to get depressed. It's a very depressing way to think. Everything is imperfect. It's going to get worse. Second version is everything's good. Everything's fine. But what if something happens? What if something happens? So right now we're healthy, but what if we get corona? Right now we've got enough money in the bank, but what if we lose all our money? So but what if? And even that what if is no better it fills you with worry and concern. You can't enjoy your life. You keep worrying, worrying, worrying. You're worrying 3 months ahead, 10 months ahead, years ahead, you're worrying about what will happen. You know, like they say that a man on the street who's a beggar, he's worried about his next meal. Can I get enough food so I can get the next meal? Can I get enough money so I can get the next meal? That's the worry. And the guy next to him is a shoe polish guy. He's worried about getting enough money for the day, not just for the next meal, but for the whole day. And next to him is the person who sells pan. He's interested in getting money for the week. Next to him is a proper shopkeeper. He's interested in getting money for the month to pay his rent. Next to him is a wholesaler. He's interested in getting money for 3 months or the quarter. Next to him is a company, the factory. They're thinking of 1 year ahead. Next to him is a parliament. They're thinking 5 years ahead, 5-year plan. Next to him is a visionary. He's thinking 20, 30, 40 years ahead. If you go to Singapore, you'll be amazed. They plan 20, 30 years ahead. It's fascinating. Everything that's happening now is part of a master plan. That's part of something that's happening 30 years ahead. It's fascinating how far ahead they think. And next to him, you meet what you would call a sage. A sage thinks in terms of eternity. Thinks in terms of, their value system is totally different. They think in terms of eternity. If you have to worry, worry in terms of eternity. One of the sages that I know of that I found very influential is the Tibetan sage, actually Indian, went to Tibet. Padmasambhava. Padmasambhava was a great teacher who took the Dharma to Tibet. And he would think in terms of eternity. So he would think not only of what teachings are required now, he would think what teachings are required 200, 300, 1,000, 2,000 years from now. And he found a way to implant in the minds of his disciples teachings which would wake up in future lifetimes. You might have heard of a famous book, Tibetan Book of the Dead. Tibetan Book of the Dead is a teaching about what happens as you die in the in-between state between death and the next life. That whole transition is explained in exquisite detail. But that teaching did not come from the Buddha. It came at a later time. It was what's called a dharma. It's a teaching planted in the mind stream of disciples. Imagine a sage who can think that far ahead. It just changes everything. So if you have to worry in terms, expand your worry. Don't just worry about small things. Expand your worry in terms of space and time, in terms of number of people. If you have to worry, like there was one of my teachers, he would pick up the newspaper, pick up the newspaper every day. He'd pick up the newspaper to see who he can help that day. So if he found some family suffering, he had many rich disciples. He'd say, just pick up the phone and say, hey, I just read about this family. They've lost everything. There was some calamity in their family. They've lost everything. Anonymously, go and help that family. They shouldn't know that I did. And he was famous for setting up dog hospitals all across Thailand. So people said, why dog hospitals? So he smiled and said, I've been a dog in many lifetimes. So I have a special empathy for dogs. Like, who thinks like that? Who opens the paper and thinks, who can I help today? You see, your experience of reading the paper will be totally different when you think of it in terms of who can I help today? If you have to worry in terms of a larger span of time. So the first one is, everything is imperfect. What if it gets worse? Second one is, everything is perfect, but what if it gets worse? Third one is, everything is imperfect. Everything is imperfect. Someday it'll get better. Someday it'll get better. You imagine some future time, something will happen. And how much of our life we've lived like this? When I get into college, things will be better. When I get a job, things will be better. When I get married, that's a big one. When I get married, things will get better. When I have kids, things will get better. When the kids grow up, things will get better. When the kids go to college, things will get better. When I paid off my loan, things will get better. You see, keep on imagining something will get better. But the phenomenal world never really gives that to you. Samsara is not designed to give you that kind of peace. My teacher said, if you want that kind of peace, learn to make your heart still. When the heart is still, you have the strength to face anything that comes in your life. You have to find that from the inside. All of that outer ups and downs are designed for you to go inside. In fact, in my recognition, if you have failed to look inside your entire life, life forces you. I'm looking at your screens. Almost all of you have glasses on. Almost all of you. A few of you don't. That's great. But nature is now reducing your eyesight. Maybe some of you have hearing aids on. Nature is now reducing your hearing ability, smelling, tasting ability. Why? It's forcing you to go inwards. If you neglected it your whole life, well, now you have no choice. You can see less, you can hear less, smell and taste less. And so you're forced to go inward. Last chance to become antarmukhi. If you didn't do it by volition, you'll be doing it by biology. You'll be forced to do it. I had a relative who lived in Alaska, and she had a special kind of stroke where she couldn't see, she couldn't hear, she couldn't speak. But inwardly, she's alert, but she can't see a thing, she can't hear a thing, she can't speak a thing. Now, imagine a stroke like that. It's quite a scary situation, imagine. And in Alaska, they did not have the medical equipment required to deal with her. So they had to fly her down to mainland US to a proper hospital. It took about 4 days for her to get proper attention. Now, imagine 4 days, you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot speak. At the most, you can move your hand a little bit. It's like being in a very strange kind of prison. And yet she kept her mind was totally calm. She did not get agitated. Her mind remained calm. And with medication, she improved. I said, what was that like? She said, I just surrendered. I just had faith. That's what gave me strength. I couldn't see. I said, maybe I'll never see again. I couldn't hear. Maybe I'll never hear again. I couldn't speak. Maybe I'll never speak again. But instead of getting agitated, I trusted. I surrendered. It is as it is. In fact, a few years back, she died. It's fascinating. The day she died, she had a throat cancer. So she had all these tubes. The day she died, she's winking at us. I'm okay. Relax. I'm okay. Who does that, right? And she's like, you take it easy. I'm okay over here. Don't worry about me. I'm going to a good place. That's amazing. You can live like that. So life is, let's do our work. We shouldn't have to wait till life forces us. Do our homework beforehand. Be well prepared for these things. And so the last one is everything is perfect and everything can be joyfully improved. Everything is perfect. Everything can be joyfully improved. That's the fourth one. That's the only one that makes sense to me. All the others, the first one, imperfect and getting worse is depression. Perfect, but what if something happens is worry. Imperfect, but hopefully something will get better is blind ambition, endlessly waiting for something to happen. But everything is perfect. This right now, you see, I have waited my whole life to speak to all of you. And whether you recognize it or not, you have waited your entire life to listen to these words right now. And that is the simple truth. And when you can see that, it's like a precious meeting. This meeting has never happened before. It may never happen again. That makes it precious. And when it's precious like that, we open our whole hearts. We really show up. One of my teachers says, allow yourself to be impacted. We said, what does it mean? He said, allow yourself to be impacted by life. When you meet a child, allow yourself to be impacted by the child. Feel the impact of that child's energy. When you meet a friend, allow yourself to be impacted by the friend. Feel the impact. What does it do? It'll affect your heart. It'll affect your mind. Don't be so guarded. Don't be so protected. Open yourself up, because when you allow yourself to be impacted, and I'd go even so far as to say, to be impacted so deeply that you might even get destroyed. If you can allow yourself, if you can train yourself to be impacted like that again and again and again, you discover your invincibility. You're actually invincible. My teacher used to say, there's good news and there's bad news. What do you want to hear first? We said, tell us the bad news first. He said, the bad news that all of us are falling. We're all falling with nothing to hold on to. This is the bad news. We're all falling. Oh yeah, that's actually true. We're all falling. Somehow we were born. And here we are falling. There's nowhere to go. We are stuck in this body and mind. The bad news is that we are falling. Now tell us the good news. He said, the good news is that there's no ground. So what you're afraid of is just your imagination. There's nothing to be afraid of. So allow yourself to be impacted. How many times in your life you thought, if that happens, it'll be the end of everything. If that happens, it'll be if my loved one dies, if my pet dies, or my other loved one dies, or if I lose my business, or if I lose my marriage, that's going to be the end of everything. But you went through it, and here you are. So many of you have experienced that and much worse things in your life. And you realize you're actually invincible. You're invincible. This is so powerful. We get a taste of our own invincibility every time we allow ourselves to be impacted so deeply. So when we talk about the art of connection, in fact, I like this word connection these days more than things like the word like enlightenment or oneness or all of that. For me, connection is a beautiful word. It's much simpler, you see. So to connect to myself, to connect to the person or whatever is happening in front of me, and to connect to life. If I can just make that the priority of my life, to connect to self, to connect to other, to connect to life. In Bali, this is called Trihitakarana. Trihitakarana, the triple harmony. So they have a very interesting philosophy in Bali. They say don't search for happiness. In fact, in a way, it's totally opposite of America. America had enshrined in its constitution the idea that we should be free to pursue our own happiness, which is a good idea at one level. But look at the way it's saying, pursue our own happiness. Every person should be free to pursue their own happiness. You only pursue something that you assume you don't have, isn't it? When was the last time you pursued having a second heart or pursued having a second stomach? No, I already have a stomach. I don't want another stomach. I already have a heart. You only pursue things you assume you don't have. So in Bali, they say, don't pursue happiness. It's the biggest mistake to pursue happiness. Why is that? Because the pursuit assumes you don't have it. So don't pursue happiness. Instead, discover harmony. What is harmony? Harmonize with yourself. Harmonize with the people around you. Harmonize with life. When you harmonize, happiness is right there in the middle. Happiness, that's where happiness lives. Happiness lives in Trihitakarana, the triple harmony. Connection with self, connection with other, connection with life. Wherever this triple connection is, happiness is right there in the middle. So let's spend some time talking about how do we do this? How do we harmonize with ourselves? How do we connect with ourselves? How do we connect with others more deeply? How do we connect with life more completely? So first of all, aren't you already connected to yourself? It's like a funny thing. I need to connect to myself. Oh, really? So where are you living actually? If you read this famous book, Power of Now, it begins with the Power of Now. This is by a person called Eckhart Tolle, very famous author. And he talks about being depressed for many years. And he also has been suicidal many times. And one day it's particularly, this pain is particularly deep. And the thought keeps coming, I can't live with myself. I can't live with myself. I can't live with myself. Imagine how painful that thought is. I can't live with myself. I can't bear myself. And then he gets curious. I can't live with myself. Are there two people here? Who is this I who cannot live with himself? And then he starts investigating, who is this I? You see, in a way, he accidentally bumped into what in India is called Atma Vichar, self-inquiry. I can't live with myself, but who is the I who can't live with himself? He starts chasing this I. Who is the I? Who is the I? Who is the I? It becomes like a whirlpool, faster and faster and faster, deeper and deeper and deeper. And the intensity is so strong in his case. He's almost suicidal. How deep the intensity is. He goes deeper and deeper and deeper and shoop. He doesn't realize what happens. He wakes up in the morning. The world is a new place. Everything is so beautiful. The bird song is so beautiful. The colors are so vivid. He cannot imagine the beauty of touching. He cannot imagine the beauty of breathing, the beauty of being. He's entered a new dimension. The dimension where he's not in opposition to himself. He's just himself. He's not trying to be something or become something. बस एक काम करो, खुद को खाली करो. खाली किससे करो? Of your ideas of yourself. Empty yourself of yourself. Take some time every day to be timeless. If some of you like reading, I want to recommend two books which I found particularly good. They go well together. The first one is called The Tao Te Ching. It's pronounced Tao Te Ching, but it's written Tao Te Ching. Taoteching. That's 3 words. But it's pronounced Tao Te Ching. And my favorite translation is by Stephen Michel. Stephen Mitchell. Stephen Michel. So it's 81 verses by Lao Tzu. What is Lao Tzu? Lao Tzu is the word Lao Tzu is interesting. You might like this. Lao Tzu literally means old guy. Because nobody knew his real name. He's called the old guy. And he seemed to live forever. And he was supposed to be the wisest man in China. And he never gave any written teachings. And then he announced to his disciples, my time is coming to an end. I'm going to the Himalayas to die. And somehow the emperor finds out Lao Tzu is going to die in the Himalayas, and he's not left a single written teaching. What a great loss. So he instructs all his border guards, do not allow Lao Tzu to leave China without giving a written record of some kind of teaching. So in the Great Wall of China, they identify, oh, this is Lao Tzu. Stop, you're not allowed to leave. We respect you, but you're not allowed to leave. You are under house arrest. Why am I under house arrest? What have I done? So no. The emperor said you have to write down something. You cannot leave without writing down something. So they force this man who's never given any written word, any written teachings to write down something. So he writes down 81 verses. The first verse, you can show how grudgingly he's writing it. He says, the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The Tao means the way. It is the way. Like we said, Dharma does not have an exact meaning. So Tao does not have an exact meaning. It's like the way things are. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. And then he goes on to write 81 verses. They're short verses, very powerful. So the first book is the Tao Te Ching by Stephen Michel. And then his wife, Byron Katie, one of my teachers, has given her lived commentary because she had a spontaneous awakening. She was in her like in her 30s or something when she had an awakening. She used to be depressed for 12 years. And similar to Eckhart Tolle, she had a kind of a spontaneous, she realized that actually it was believing her own thinking was a problem. Life was not a problem. Her thoughts about life were the problem. Life is never a problem, actually. It's our thoughts about life that are the problem, unexamined thoughts. So she began questioning her own thinking with 4 simple questions. What I'm believing, what I'm thinking right now, is it true? Am I sure it's true? What happens when I believe this thought? Who am I without this thought? Simple ways of just questioning her own thinking. So this is called the work. And so her book is called 1,000 Names for Joy by Byron Katie and Stephen Michel. So if I can offer you a curriculum, this would be a fantastic curriculum. Every day you read one verse of the Tao Te Ching, and every day you read the corresponding chapter from 1,000 Names for Joy. Do this 81-day course. You can do it longer time. You don't have to do it 81 days, but it's so powerful. For me, it completely reformatted so many ideas I had about myself and about life. One way to connect with yourself, which is more practical. I don't know how many of you like reading. Here's the more practical one. It comes from a Japanese system that I learned called Jin Shin Jutsu. Jin Shin Jutsu is a system from a teacher called Jiro Murai in Japan. Jiro Murai came from a very rich family of physicians, all were doctors. And they had enough going for them. They said, everything is, we have more than enough. You don't have to become a doctor. You just relax. So he was a rich kid, didn't know what to do with himself. So he got into eating competitions. And these days on television, you see, how much can you eat? You stuff yourself. It's like one of those things. You eat and then you vomit it out. So the funny thing, but it's a whole subculture. So he got into the eating competitions and he was one of the best in Japan. But in that process, he ruined his health. And at a rather young age, late 20s, early 30s, they said, you're probably going to die. It's that bad. You're probably going to die. So when he realized he's going to die, he said, I don't want to die in the hospital. Take me to our wood cabin. They had a cabin in the forest. He said, I want to die alone over there. Take me there. I don't want to die in a hospital. So they left him there. And something inspired him to put his hand into certain mudras. In India, we have these term mudras. Something inspired him, like pictures of the Buddha inspired him. He began holding his fingers in certain mudras. And over the next 1 week, amazing things began happening to him. His body would get incredibly hot, would get incredibly cold. And different shifts happened. And long story short, he got completely healed. What was supposed to be incurable, he was supposed to die. And he walked down himself. He was carried up into that place. He walked down himself. And he said, I don't know what happened. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to understanding this. And the rest of his life, he was healing people. He was one of the foremost healers of Japan. He lived at the same time. You've heard of Reiki. Reiki is more popular, a more popular system. But he lived at the same time as the Reiki masters did. And his system is not as famous, but actually no less powerful. So I'll give you the simplified version of this. When you wake up in the morning or any time in the day, I would like you to take any one hand up. And with the other hand, start with the thumb, wrap your fingers around the thumb, right? Could be any hand, doesn't matter. Start with any hand, wrap the fingers around the thumb. And you can just put your hand on your lap, just relax. And you're not holding it so tight that it hurts. You're not holding it so loose that you can't feel it. Just tight enough that you feel after a while a pulsation, a heartbeat. See if you can feel a heartbeat after a while. You want to hold your thumb like this for at least 3 breaths. See if you can feel a pulsation, a heartbeat. And you can hold it for longer if you like. Holding the thumb will reduce your worry at a mental level. There are many other benefits, but the most basic benefit is holding your thumb reduces worry. You can hold it for 3 breaths, you can hold it for many minutes, doesn't matter. Come to your next finger, index finger. Wrap your other fingers around it. Bring your hand down. Again, feel not too tight, not too loose, just the right pressure. So you can feel your entire index finger and maybe feel a pulsing sensation. Index finger represents fear. Holding the index finger will reduce your fear. There are many other benefits, but this is a simple one. You can hold it for 3 breaths, or you can hold it for 2 or 3 minutes, as long as you like. Let's come to our middle finger. Middle finger represents anger. Holding your middle finger with just the right amount of pressure so it feels comfortable. It reduces anger and balances many other parts of your body. See if you can feel a pulsing sensation. Let's come to the ring finger. Holding the ring finger represents releasing sadness. Full attention on the finger, the sensation, the pulsing sensation that you might feel throughout the ring finger. It's quite a pleasant practice. When you wake up in the morning, just hold your fingers like this. You can hold it for anywhere from 3 breaths to many minutes, no problem. Come to your last finger, the pinky finger, baby finger, and wrap your fingers around that. The last finger represents releasing inferiority complex, or we also say trying too hard. Trying too hard, losing your effortless flow of life. Deep breath. And just put your fingers in the middle of the palm. You can do it like this. If you prefer, you can also do it like this. Basically, you want to just press the middle of the palm a little bit. Hand up. Deep breath. I like to joke that people in India who like to chew tobacco, they're doing this all the time. At least one thing they're doing right. Massaging the middle of the palm. All right, so a way to remember what each finger stands for, the formula goes like this. End, worry, fast. Remember these 3 words. End, worry, fast. Why do we say these 3 words? Worry, thumb is worry. F-A-S-T, fear, anger, sadness, trying too hard. End, worry, fast. End, worry, fear, anger, sadness, and trying too hard. And the middle of the palm represents overall balancing of your entire system. You can do it for one hand. I like to do it for both hands, but you can do it for even one hand or both hands. And I also like to add, this is something that's not from Jinshin Jutsu, but I really like it. At the end of it, I like to touch both my wrists together. Just try this, touch your wrist together and hold the opposite wrist like this. And just bring it close to your chest. Yeah. I really like to end with this. Feel really nice. That's a nice, you can release your hands. That's a nice mini meditation for you, right? When you wake up in the morning, just spend at least 3 breaths on each finger, including 3 breaths on your palm, both hands, and you can end with this. That's approximately 36 breaths, something like that. So this is a very gentle way of connecting with yourself. Another nice way to connect with yourself is when you look in the mirror, smile. Even if there are not many teeth, still smile. Give you a beautiful smile. Because you see, I said dignity. There's a certain dignity in your life. There's a dignity to who you've been your whole life. Every line and wrinkle on your face has a story behind it. And see the beauty in yourself. At least now see the beauty in yourself. Right. And one of the best things I've learned to say in the mirror is, dear Nithya, just for today, what if there's nothing wrong with you? Dear Nithya, just for today, what if there's nothing wrong with you? Because you see, everyone's trying to convince me. Society is trying to convince me I'm not good enough. Even religious books are trying to tell me I'm not good enough. I'm not evolved enough. Everyone's trying to, marketing, of course, trying to convince me I'm not tall enough, strong enough, fit enough. I'm not rich enough. There's no end to this. But in God's eyes, I am enough. I am enough. I always have been enough and I always will be enough. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say. I am enough. Purnamada Purnamidam. Purnat Purnamadachati. Purnasya Purnamadaya. Purnameva Vishishtati. I am whole and complete. This is whole and complete. That is whole and complete. From what is whole and complete comes what is whole and complete. When you take what is whole and complete from what is whole and complete, what is left is also whole and complete. My journey is from completeness to completeness, not from incompleteness to completeness. No, it's from completeness to completeness. This talk began complete. It is flowing complete. It will end complete. And that is the way I fulfill my dharma. I'm not creating karma here. I'm just fulfilling my dharma over here. I'm just showing up. Bas ek kaam karo, khud ko khali karo. Keep emptying yourself, emptying yourself, emptying yourself. Holding the simple points, you'll shift from the dimension of thinking to the dimension of feeling. From the dimension of ideas and concepts to the dimension of pure flow. You start noticing just a few days, you feel, generally you feel more lucid, you feel calm. Body doesn't have as many aches and pains anymore. Very nice. So simple. And during the day, there's no limit to how often you can do this. Anytime in the day, nothing else is happening. Hold your fingers. Enjoy holding your fingers. Go online, research more about Jin Shin Jitsu. I can recommend through Madhu some books in this if you're interested. But the main point is just get your finger point. There's no end to how much you can learn. This is very simple. Just hold your fingers, enjoy holding your fingers. Hold your palms, hold your wrists. Very nice, simple. And be kind to yourself in the mirror. Because the only guaranteed long-term relationship you'll have is with this one. For me, the definition of spirituality is I should learn to be comfortable in my own skin. That's it. If I can be comfortable in my own skin, I have fulfilled my spirituality. Nothing more is needed. If I'm uncomfortable in my own skin, what worked for you may not work for me. I'm not here to follow your dharma. I'm here to follow my dharma, what is true for me. You know, I used to criticize myself for being a procrastinator, putting things off to the last minute. I think many people do that. We criticize ourselves being procrastinators. The other day, I met one of my friends, Clea Chandmal, some of you may know her. She's a wonderful ecologist and permaculture expert. She's one of the top permaculture experts of this country. And she was telling us that, do you know that whatever is left of this planet, it's because of the procrastinators? If everybody was a go-getter, there would be no planet left. We would have cut down every tree by now. We would have emptied out the oceans by now. We would have mined every mountain down by now. Thankfully, to people like me who are procrastinators, we still have some planet left. Did you know that to live the average American, average, not even the top American, average American, if we all in the whole world, if we all had to live a life like the average American, we need 5 planet Earths. 5 planet Earths. You know, if everyone in India and everyone in China began using toilet paper, The world's forests would be over in 6 months. You're lucky that in India we don't all use toilet paper. Right? So in other words, it's not so bad. It's okay, it's all right. How do you know that it's wrong? What you're doing also has its purpose. Just be yourself. Be exactly the way you are. Connecting with others. I want to give you 5 principles. I know I want to come to Q&A very soon, but 5 principles for connecting with others, which I find very helpful. So in connecting with others, first principle is honor self and honor other. Like I said, dignity. There's a certain, and everyone's experience is their own experience. You cannot assume. So no matter what they've been through, there's a certain dignity in what they've been through. It's inspiring actually at some level. So dignity, honor self, and honor others. Humility. How strange a person like me is talking to people, most of you are twice my age, or maybe 3 times my age, who knows? Maybe not 3 times my age, but at least twice my age. So how strange, right? I have to be humble, humility. I have no clue if any of this is going to help any of you, but I was invited and I've said yes, and I'm going to do the best I can. But I have to have humility. It may be completely meaningless for all of you, but that's fine. All I can do is do my best. So I don't know what's going to help you, but I can just do my best. I can just offer with love what I think might be helpful. That's called humility. So honor self and honor others. Inherent dignity and inherent humility. If you can follow this guideline, this is a good foundation for all relationships. This is a good foundation. Anywhere in the world you go, doesn't matter what the culture. If you show up with humility, if you show up with inherent dignity, you will get along in that culture. If you try to push your ideas, if you think low of yourself, you'll always have trouble wherever you go. Dignity, dignity, and inherent humility. Second principle is welcome everything. Welcome everything, which means this whole idea that there are certain good emotions and bad emotions. Why would God make bad emotions? There's no bad emotions. Everything is here to teach us something. There's no mistakes in this universe. I met a person in the US. He suffers from a very rare neurological disease where he cannot feel pain. What a wonderful thing. You don't feel pain. You can sit for as long as you like, don't feel pain. But actually, it's a very dangerous condition. You see, when he can't feel pain, he doesn't know if his bladder is full or not. He has to just train himself to go to the bathroom every 3 hours. He doesn't know if his bladder is full or not. When he puts a shower on, he doesn't know if it's too hot or if it's too cold. He can burn himself anytime with the hot water. You see, simple things like hunger, he can't tell. You would say, what a gift to not have no pain. Actually, it's a curse. It's very difficult. If he can cut himself, he'll not even realize he cut himself. He'll bleed himself. He won't even know he's cut himself. It's a dangerous way to live, actually. So physical pain is telling us, be careful. That's hurting your physical body. Be careful. The way you're sitting, the way you're eating, the way you're behaving, it's actually not good for you. Physical pain is actually good for us. It tells us something. Pain is actually it's just inviting attention. You see, when you have physical pain, instead of resisting the pain, what I've learned in meditation is you relax around the pain. You give it attention. A part of you want attention, I'll give you attention. And you give it gentle attention, loving attention. When you have pain, there are 2 options. You can be dragged by the horse of pain, or you can ride the horse of pain. And the reason we practice meditation, mindfulness, is we can ride the horse of pain. Nothing concentrates the mind like intense pain. Like I said earlier, allow yourself to be impacted. When you allow yourself to be impacted, every single time you discover your own invincibility again and again and again. One of the most painful experiences a human being will have is that of childbirth. And I was talking to my friend Prerna in the US. Her first time she was giving birth, she said, Nithya, literally I felt. They kept saying, push, push. I said, push. I push one more time, my body will split in 2. What is this push? I mean, literally she felt she cannot push anymore. What push? She had a sense, if I push one more time, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. I can't do it. And then still, she took a deep breath and she pushed. In other words, she risked splitting into 2. She risked dying. The moment she was willing to die is the same moment her child was born. That's how it goes. In the willingness to die, a child is born. This universe is full of paradoxes like this. So again, she discovered her invincibility by allowing herself to be impacted by that pain. So you open yourself up. Like all of you have been open to life. I want you to also be open to your old age. Let it be a graceful old age. Let it be a charming old age. Let's make fun. Let's have fun with our inability to hear and our inability to taste and our inability to see. Let's have fun with it. It's a fun time of our life. There's a book called Healthy at 100, which talks about blue zones in the world. In the blue zones of the world, people tend to live 100 years and longer. And the basic difference in blue zones and other parts of the world is, in the blue zones, they believe life begins at 90. They say the real fun begins at 90. Before 90 is the preparation. You're making all kinds of mistakes. You're being foolish. By 90, you've done everything. Now the fun really begins. Life begins at 90. What a way of thinking. And they go on to live for 100, 110, 120. In fact, they often forget their age. In fact, that's another secret for living a long life. You have to forget your age. Like, I don't even talk about my age unless the government forces me to. What is this age business? It just forces, oh, now I'm 40, now I'm 50, now I'm 60. And that age idea just kind of kills you. So forget it. And in these cultures, there's a great value. The older people get, they're valued in those societies. When you're valued, automatically you feel so enriched, so full. You feel you have so much to give. You're like, each one of you like a big tree in the forest. You have so much experience, so much depth. And if we were to sit with you instead of looking at the television, instead of looking at our phones, we would learn so much. But now we're all captivated by our TVs and our phones and everything. Right? In Thailand, where I lived, in the monastery where I lived, families would sit together and in the evening and tell stories. They would talk about what's happening in the day. They would talk about what happened in the farm. They would talk about ancient stories, the Jataka stories, mythologies. But then when TV came, then everyone just look at TV. No one's talking to anybody anymore. You see how we get taken away from just a simple connection. So welcome everything. So the principle of welcome everything means welcome all emotions, all thoughts, no taboos. If you really want to connect with people, take out all taboos. Everything is welcome. No judgments. And hopefully by now you've had every experience. What are there to judge? You've been through everything. Everything you said you'll never do, you've done. Isn't it? You're really honest about it. So then what are there to judge? And so here we are, nothing to worry about. So, all right. So honor self and other, welcome everything, assume nothing. If you really want to be, no matter what your physical age, if you want to be young forever, assume nothing. Have a sense of wonder, have a sense of curiosity. The more curious and wonder filled your mind is, the more young you are. It doesn't matter what your physical age is. Be curious about everything. You see, a beginner wants to be an expert. Expert wants to be a master. Master just wants to be a beginner again. So by your age, you've mastered something in life. So now come back to childlike innocence and look at everything with fresh eyes, kind eyes, open mind, open heart. So assume nothing. Honor self and other, welcome everything, assume nothing, reveal your experience, very important. How are you feeling as I'm speaking? How is it affecting you? Reveal your experience. Nithya, hearing you speak, I felt calmer. My heart opened. I relaxed a bit. Nithya, hearing you speak, I didn't quite agree with you. It challenged some of my belief systems. All right, wonderful. So reveal your experience. What's happening within you? As you're with people, reveal your experience. What is arising within you as you're with them? This creates connection. You see, otherwise they're only guessing. But if you reveal your experience, as you said that, this is how it affected me emotionally, at a mental level, emotional level, how it affected me. As you reveal it, it enriches the ground of our togetherness. So assume nothing is checking other people's experience. Tell me, I'm really interested. Tell me more about that. I'm curious. Is that true? What's happening with you? So in assume nothing, I'm learning about you. In revealing my experience, you get to know about me. And also own my experience. Just because I'm bored doesn't mean you're boring. Just because I'm irritated doesn't mean you're irritating. Just because I'm angry doesn't mean it's your fault. I own so I can say, yes, I'm really bored right now. I'm really disconnected right now. And that's me. And you own your experience. Owning your experience is so powerful. So these are 5 principles of relating authentically with others, connecting more deeply with others. And the very simple, if all of this is very complicated, the simple thing is listen more deeply. Really listen. Get interested. Be interested in the lives of others. If you want to watch a nice documentary, look up Lady in Number 6. Alice Somers was a Holocaust survivor, Lady in Number 6. She lived to the age of 112. She was the world's oldest concert pianist. She survived the Holocaust with her son. She outlived her entire family, her twin sister, her own son, lived to 112. And you see the documentary, I have never seen a more energetic, a more joyful person at the age of 112. She's giggling, she's laughing, she's full of life. She said, I'm interested in people. I'm interested in the lives of people. I love my music. And she was playing piano, despite having arthritis. She's playing the piano late into her last days of her life. So look at examples of people who are aging so gracefully, who are aging so masterfully. That's the kind of role models we need. You know, yatha drishti tatha shrishti. Be mindful of who your role models are. If you look at the uncles and aunts in your family who died a horrible death, being in hospital for months together, subconsciously you're creating that for yourself. No? Fill your mind. If you want a great book on this, I'm giving you too many books today, right? Graceful Exits. Graceful Exits is a book filled with examples of people who died spectacular deaths. Graceful Exits. Read Graceful Exits. Read a few pages from Graceful Exits every day. Fill your mind with examples of people who had classic deaths, brilliant deaths. I have met many people in my life who had brilliant deaths. When I was in college, I used to go to meditate at a lady's house. She was a meditation teacher, one of the earliest Vipassana meditation teachers. She had been a doctor her whole life. And she'd gone for a Vipassana course. Some of you have done Vipassana. So at the end of the evening, there's the last meditation, and then Goenkaji gives a talk. So the last meditation is over. There's a small break. So she bows down at the end of the last meditation. The break is over. People say she's still bowing down. They come back to talk. She's still bowing down. What's happened? They go to check on her. She passed away. At the end of the meditation, she bowed down. She never got up. She passed away. There's someone I actually know. She passed away in such an amazing way. What a cool way to die. You finish your meditation. Your teacher gives a blessing. You say in Vipassana, we say sadhu, 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 which means well said, well said. So Goenkaji is saying, sabka mangal ho, sabka mangal. May all beings be happy and well. May all beings be happy and well. Bhavatu sabba mangalam. And the response from the audience is sadhu, which is a Buddhist way of saying, may it be so. Well said, well said. So everyone says sadhu. She says a very long sadhu, like almost like an omkar kind of sadhu, sadhu. And she bows down, sadhu. And she never gets up. And that's the cool way she died. So my life is filled with examples with people who've lived amazingly well and who've, if you don't mind me saying, popped off. Take away the word death, popped off amazingly well. Let's pop in and pop off in a nice and graceful way, right? And they pop off in a very nice way. And they have to because they live such a cool life, right? So if you live your life based on some of the principles we've talked about today, presence and gratitude and wonder and welcoming and open-mindedness, open-heartedness. Purnamada Purnamidam. Bas ek kaam karo, khud ko khali karo. Nothing can stop you from having an amazing, amazing time here with what we're meant to do. We're meant to have an amazing time here. My favorite philosophy actually these days is Kashmir Shaivism. It's the most brilliant philosophy, which basically says one of the greatest saints of Kashmir Shaivism was asked, can you summarize the philosophy? He said, I'll summarize it. I'll not summarize the philosophy. I'll tell you how I live. How does he live? Hasiba, Kheliba, Dhariba Dhyanam. What am I here for? I'm here to laugh. Hasiba, Kheliba, I'm here to play. Dhariba Dhyanam. And laughing, playing, I'll meditate. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to laugh. I'm here to play. Laughing and playing, I shall meditate. That is my life. Within Kashmir Shaivism, it's a unique philosophy of India. Most of Indian philosophy says this is all Maya. It's all Maya. It's all Maya Jal hai. It's all an illusion. Kashmir Shaivism says nonsense. There's no Maya. It's all God. The idea of Maya is Maya. It's all God. It was all God all along. It was always Shiva all along. It was Shiva playing with himself all along. There's nothing. If any of the mistakes you made, so-called sins you committed, that was Shiva's business, not your business. Don't take responsibility for it. No matter what your deepest shame is, that was Shiva at work. Shiva's responsibility, not mine. Hasiba, Kheliba, Dhariba, Dhyanam. What an amazing philosophy by which to live your life. Let's have a minute of silence, and then we can have some questions. Take a deep breath. All right, Madhuji or Kiran, if you'd like to moderate the questions, that'll be nice.
Will do.
Nithya, thank you. It was a wonderful program. Thank you so much. I only request that kindly leave the list of books which you were referring. Lot of
Yeah, I
people
can
couldn't really write it down.
I will write down and send Madhu the books, and then she can
Yes,
share
yes,
with all
books.
I'll do that. I'll do
Yes,
that.
sir. My name is Rajapan from
Yes, Rajapan.
chapter.
Yes.
Really, I saw myself in you. I saw myself in you. When you were talking, as though I was talking. The way in which you have told what all things you have said, I am practicing, and I don't have any fear at all. I am ready to. I want to die happily.
Right.
சிரிச்சுக்கிட்டே உயிரை விடணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Right.
Amazing.
I don't want to be cremated or to be buried. I want to be handed over to the hospital.
All right, wonderful.
I really enjoyed your talk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Please, this is Hasina. I'd like to know what is the documentary name?
It's called Lady in Number 6.
Thank you.
You can find it. There's a website called Vimeo, Vimeo, Vimeo.com. You'll find it there. Otherwise, just search for Lady in Number 6. Even YouTube might have it if you search. It's about a lady called Alice Sommers. Alice Sommers was the oldest living Holocaust survivor of her time. She passed away a few years back. And this documentary won Best Documentary on the Oscars. It's a fantastic documentary.
Lady number
Number 6.
6. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, please?
Mhm.
Yeah. You said reveal your experiences, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, because we are full of experiences. We had lived our life for 70 years, and in our whole life, so many experiences are there. But there's nobody to listen. Now we have to pay to listen. I mean, we have to pay to psychologists, go to psychologists, reveal our experiences, and then only there is somebody to listen. Otherwise, nobody to listen at all.
So let me clarify this. I don't mean, by reveal experiences, I don't mean tell your life story. I mean, like right now, let me ask you, Indra, in this moment, after hearing this talk, what is it like for you right now? Reveal your inner experience. What's it like for you?
After hearing your talk,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm feeling elated. I'm happy. I'm feeling
elated.
good. Yes.
Feeling happy, feeling good.
Yeah.
That would be an example of right now, and you can get even more precise. Okay, my heart feels lighter. Or you can say, oh, there was a tightness in my head, or there were the racing thoughts have calmed down. And when you reveal your experience, then I can share my impact. Hearing you say that, I feel grateful that something that I shared was helpful, right? And now, so reveal experience is lived current experience, not getting into stories. It's fine to get into stories, have their own beauty and power. That's fine.
Yes.
But in order to create connection, there are 3 levels of conversation: informational, personal, and relational. We are mostly used to the first 2. Informational is what time is it? Where do you live? What work do you do? Informational. Personal is when I was 7 years old, I lost my father. You know, my mother was unfair to me compared to my sisters and brothers. These are personal things, right? These are both are stories. Informational, personal. Most of us live only in these 2 kinds of conversations. I'm inviting you to the third level of conversation, which is conversation as meditation. What is alive in me right now, moment to moment, it changes. One moment I'm bored, next moment I'm connected. One moment I'm feeling, I'm not sure I can trust you. Next moment, my heart is open to you. Because that's the reality. The mind changes so quickly. So I have begun to treat conversations and relationships as meditation. And that for me is part of the art of connection. And that's where these 5 principles apply. Honor self and other, welcome everything, assume nothing, reveal your experience and own your experience. Like this, you start creating a flow of connection in the moment. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter who you're with.
Okay. Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Allowed to say
And set
something?
aside.
Rahul, go ahead.
Thanks. Enjoyed your talk very much. Thank you. Just want to share something that most of the people here in this age group have this problem of living mostly in memories. And our ability to deal with the present goes down because our faculties are going down, as you yourself said. So it's first thing I think that's important is to not live in memories, to not live in our past. The older we get, we keep going into these memory loops of experiences, past experiences. Our short-term memory is getting weaker, our longer-term, deeper memories are coming up, and we get caught into that loop. It goes on endlessly. So the first thing is to become aware of what is happening in my mind. Am I living in my past, in memories? So once we become aware of that, the working of my own mind, our own minds, I think we start to begin dealing with the present and being in the present. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much. So true.
Are there any more questions, please?
Hello, namaste, namaste. My name is Sharadamani from Bangalore, Vijayanagara branch. I like your talk very much, sir. But I want to, my mind become very strong when you, when I heard your all experiences and other guidelines. But I want to know again. I request you that finger exercise I will do from tomorrow onwards. Please repeat that one, sir.
Please, yes, please.
It's actually, I'll send you, I made a video on YouTube also. So Madhu, remind me, I'll send them the link to the YouTube video where I've explained this again. So you can just watch that video again. It's quite simple.
Okay, sir.
But
Okay.
I am
Pramila.
I am from Bombay. So how will I get it? I'm from Bombay.
No, she will send it in WhatsApp.
You'll get it in your WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp only.
I am Pramila, and I want to know one thing you said about Rumi.
Yes, Rumi.
What was that saying?
He says, be like melting snow. Wash yourself off yourself.
Be like
melting snow. Wash yourself off yourself. बस एक काम करो, खुद को खाली करो. बस एक काम करो, खुद को खाली करो. Can I tell you a small? There's a beautiful poem I memorized years back. It comes from the Native American tradition. The you've heard of the mistakenly called the Indians.
Just mute everybody.
Let's just mute everybody temporarily.
To mute everyone, please.
Maybe I'll just mute temporarily everybody. Then we can come back in a second. All right. So this is a small, it's a beautiful poem. Just listen to this. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn's rain. When you awake in morning's hush, I am that swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft star that shines at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I am not there. I'm right here. And this beautiful poem has all the elements in it: earth, water, fire, air, and space.
Very nice. Yeah.
And this is reminding us that actually what is earth in this body will return to earth. What is water in this body will return to water, fire, air, and space. And I am as I am. I'm not these ideas I've taken on to temporarily taken on. I just am. The more you rest in the sense of I am. You know, one of my teachers, we asked him, how many minutes or hours in a day should we meditate? And he said, minimum the number of minutes, which is your age. So at 10 years old, you should meditate 10 minutes. At 20 years old, 20 minutes. At 50 years old, 50 minutes. And if you're 80 years old, you should meditate at least 80 minutes a day. Minimum, right? That's minimum, right? And if you're not doing it, you're missing an opportunity. So what is meditation? Just be with yourself. I'll also, Madhu, remind me, I'll send some meditation links. Just follow along these simple instructions. Just be with yourself. Basically, be with yourself. Enjoy being with yourself. Even the simple finger holding can be like a meditation. Hold all the fingers, at least 3 breaths at a time, middle of the palm, other hand, wrist, and then just sit calmly. You'll find very naturally you're able to sit for a long time. Your whole body relaxes. Start with something as simple as that.
Yeah, we feel lighter. Nithyaji, we feel very lighter after hearing you. And that finger exercise you suggested, I think that will get rid of the fear we have at present.
So good. Yeah. Happy to hear that.
But I think we'll get rid of that. We always have that fear, no? Considering the present position, we always have the fear in mind.
Yes.
I think with the finger exercise, we'll get rid of that.
So nice. So nice. Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Made us lighter. After
Very
hearing
nice.
you,
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank
You should carry it out, sir.
Thank you.
Some of those
Yes,
things
Nithya.
are really eye-opening.
Yes, thank you very much.
I just wanted to
Because
ask.
this 1 hour that we interacted with you, your mind gets taken off everything else and you're just
Right.
listening to what Nithya is Yes, saying
yes.
and just enjoying or just being in that particular existence, whatever he is explaining.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you so much.
Rajapan here. I would like to say something, no?
Yeah. Nice.
Stop worrying about the past.
I'm here only.
Stop afraid about the future.
Yeah.
Live in the present.
Yeah.
Think everything is good. All is good. This also will go. இதுவும் கடந்து போகும் எல்லாம் நன்மைக்கே. If you feel like this, I don't think you will have any worry at all.
Well said.
Be happy.
Well said.
Thank you.
You see, the word present also means gift, isn't it?
Right,
The
right.
word present has 2 meanings. It also means gift. So remember, the present is a gift. And the only appropriate response to gift is thank you. Thank you. There is no other. When
Thank
someone
you,
gives you a
thank
gift, you're not allowed to say, oh, I already have this. I already know this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Only appropriate response to a gift is
Talk
thank
to
you.
yourself.
Exactly. If you can keep saying thank you, like Rajapanji is saying,
Thank you.
then every moment is a beautiful moment. Fill your life with gratitude.
Very nice of you.
I wanted to ask you something, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said whatever happens in your life, all the karmas, Shiva makes it happen for you. That's what I mean. I understood like that. So, but it is our own doing, right? Whatever we do. So.
All right. So you can keep it for yourself if you like. I will stop you. So then investigate. So then Ramana Maharishi would say, then find out. Show me the eye. Yeah, there is the eye. So who is the eye? Is the eye in the heart? Is the eye behind the eyes? Is the eye in the brain? Where is this eye? Go looking for the eye. He has a book called Hunting the Eye. Go find the eye. And you go hunting the eye, hunting the eye, hunting. You can't find the eye. Let me tell you a story. There was a young boy, very poor boy. He lived in somewhere in Persia, and he fell in love with a girl he saw. But the girl was living in a palace. She was a princess. Totally unattainable. How do you, this poor orphan boy living on the streets, falling in love with a beautiful princess. Then he goes to a holy man. He says, I'm in love with this girl. How can I get her? He says, listen, boy, you are completely from a different social strata than her. There's almost no chance you can get her. But there is one way you can get her. There's a tomb of a saint. And there is a saying, if you meditate in that tomb for 30 days, all night, and you pray for your whatever you want, your wish will be granted. So he wants her so badly that, and he's the poor boy. He has to work all day. He works all day, and he goes and he prays all night. And he works all day, and like this, he's working all day and praying all night, praying all night, working all night, and praying all night. On the 15th day already, such a great tapas, such a great tage has come, like a power has emerged. On the 15th day already, the girl comes and throws himself at his feet and says, I want to be yours. But by that time, he's not interested in the girl anymore. He realized the real beloved is not the girl. And by the 30th day, he's become one of the greatest saints of that time.
Wow.
Realize. So these are all placeholders. It looks like, oh, I'm doing. But if you look deeply, you were never doing. It was always God at play. This is
Right.
God's game of hide and seek. And if you're saying, oh, but poor me, then actually Shiva gets very impressed. I played very good hide and seek. Inu in her whole life could not spot me. Fantastic. So either way, if you catch Shiva, also good. If you don't catch Shiva, also good.
That's so very.
You can't get this wrong. You can't
Thank you
get this
very
wrong.
much. Thank you very much.
Hello,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Hello, sir.
Thank you very much. Shanti, very
Can
good.
can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yes,
do.
who is it? Who is it? Go ahead.
I'm from Bangalore, Chowdi. Yeah, I'm too small to say this, but as your name suggests, I think we are surely going to get Nithya Shanti every day.
Very good. Very good.
Why not?
Very well explained.
Thank you so much, sir. I think, we are, at least I have realized the value of breath.
Good, very well
We
said.
take it for granted.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I want to say something.
Today I have realized the value of breath, We
Breath,
take
yes.
it for granted, but we don't really enjoy it. Something goes, but I've really realized today one thing. One thing I've realized, and secondly, you have humbled us,
I'm humbled in front of all of you. It's so funny that I'm talking. You should be talking to me, but somehow life is playing a joke, so it wants me to talk to all of you.
Sir, I want to say something.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We
Yeah, go
enjoyed
ahead.
a lot.
Go ahead.
Yes,
please go ahead.
Different word. Entirely different word. We enjoyed the conversation.
So
We
nice.
enjoyed the talk you had with us. Lovely.
Thank you so much. Narendra, go ahead. Yeah, Narendra trying to say something.
I want to say something.
Go ahead, Narendra. Go ahead.
Just
Go ahead.
some stanza I want to say. आपने जो
Please.
बोला खुद के ऊपर प्रेम करना है, उसके ऊपर
हाँ
I have make it stanza.
Tell us.
भले ही आप पर कोई विश्वास न करे, भले ही आप पर कोई विश्वास न करे, आपको खुद पर विश्वास रखना होगा. आपको खुद पर विश्वास रखना होगा. भले ही किसी को विश्वास न हो कि आप कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आपको यह विश्वास रखना होगा कि आप कर सकते हैं. और आप खुद पर तभी विश्वास कर सकते हैं जब आप खुद पर प्रेम करते हैं. तो भले ही आपसे कोई प्रेम न करे, भले ही कोई आपसे प्रेम न करे, आपको खुद से प्रेम करना होगा. वास्तव में जान आप खुद प्रेम करना है, सीख जाना है, तभी तो संसार आपसे प्रेम करना शुरू करेगा. कुल मिलाकर इस बात को बहुत काम अंतर पड़ता है कि संसार आपको कैसे देखता है. संसार आपको कैसा देखता है, लेकिन इस बात को बहुत अंतर पड़ता है कि आप खुद को कैसे देखते हैं. Means you have to keep विश्वास upon us. तो पहले आप अपने से प्रेम करोगे, तब आप दूसरे से प्रेम करोगे.
Well said.
Okay.
So
I
nice.
just want
Thank
to
you.
walk. I just want to say something. At
Thank you,
time,
Narendra. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Shashi Das from
Shashi ji,
Delhi.
go ahead. Yes.
Actually, most of the time, I find myself कि I'm not thinking. I'm totally not. I can't say blank, but I think I should think something. But I'm not thinking. My mind is totally. मतलब, I just want to. Think
It's not bad.
I should.
It's not bad.
हाँ,
It's
I'm
okay.
totally.
It's okay.
हाँ,
It's just unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar, but it's not a bad thing. You're living more intuitively now. अब आप कितना सोचेंगे, जिंदगी भर तो सोच ही नहीं थी, और क्या सोचना है?
नहीं मैं
बस आराम करिए.
मैं क्या तो सोचती हूँ, अभी सोचने का टाइम है, कुछ तो सोचो, कुछ नहीं सोचती.
Just live intuitively. Live intuitively. जितना सोच होगा आएगा. Don't trust the thoughts, trust the lack of thoughts. Just trust your life.
That's a kind of empty yourself. That is the best thing. That is the best thing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I also wanted to ask, you said to continuously empty yourself. How does one continuously do that?
Yeah, very good question. So in this moment, as you're listening to what I'm saying right now, you cannot listen to what I'm saying right now without emptying yourself of everything you've heard in your life. You see that? To see me right now, I don't know if I'm on your screen or not, but to see me right now, you cannot see me right now. unless you empty yourself of everything you've seen in your life. Otherwise, you can't see me right now.
Yeah.
To take this breath right now, to feel your present breath. You cannot feel this present breath unless you forget every other breath you've taken in your whole life. To empty yourself just means to open yourself up to this moment. And open, like I said, allow yourself to be impacted by this moment, by the pain, by the sorrow, by the joy, by all of it. Forget those words also. Allow yourself to be impacted. Because every time you allow yourself to be impacted, like my friend Prerna, who was willing to allow her body to split into two, and in that moment, a new birth will happen. The biggest crisis is the biggest opportunity. God has put the best things in life on the other side of terror. And you have to allow yourself to feel that terror. And that's where my teacher said, you know, we think of the mother's womb as a womb, and we think of this world as the world. He said, but that's not true. Spiritual beings know this world is a bigger womb. So when you're dying, you're actually not dying, you're being born. You're being born into a dimension of greater truth. So like this, allow yourself, open yourself up to each moment. In this way, when I open myself up that completely, it is I have emptied myself of all my notions of myself. And I find I'm still there. I'm still there. I'm still there. I am. Tattvam asi. Tattvam asi. Never can I be destroyed. In fact, the universe comes. Universe is a visitor. This planet is a visitor. Everything is a visitor. I am. I eternally am. Universes come and go. Planets come and go. Lifetimes come and go. I am. This is the principle we're trying to touch. And when you touch that principle, you lose all your fears. Your personality may still have its quirks, may still have its fears, but deep down, like my name suggests, Nithya Shanti. Something deep down is unshaken. My personality may get shaken up, but deep down, I'm always unshaken. I'm sky-like. I'm ocean-like. I'm mirror-like. There are no stains on this. And that's what we're trying to discover through all of these teachings.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
friends,
Thank you.
it is customary to give a vote of thanks. I would like
Yes.
to express my gratitude to our speaker, Nithya Shanti, an internationally respected guru and speaker. And I would like to thank him for such inspiring thoughts and words. I have yet to come across a person who can facilitate such awareness by simple practices. Thank you so much, Nithya ji. I also want to express my gratitude to all my guests and fellow friends and all chapters, from all chapters who took their valuable time out to be with us today. I thank all the dignity staff and officials.
Thank you, you too, Madhuji.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Madhuji.
very